to the Sad Dads Club podcast. Here's everybody's favorite sad dads, Jim and Foo.
It's one of those movies that's like good. You ever watched a good movie?
Rarely.
We actually did watch a Christmas movie that was pretty good. Oh, look at that.
Was it the one with Kevin Nealon?
No, it was with Neil Patrick Harris. It's called like 8-Bit Christmas.
Oh, okay.
And where was it even on? Might have been on HBO Max.
Like a Commodore?
It was him like basically telling the story to his daughter of when he was a kid trying to get a Nintendo, a Super NES system.
Right.
And like, man, they just nailed all of the nostalgia, like throwback stuff.
Right. Okay.
It's because it was like him as he's our age, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a year or two older.
Yeah.
Something like that. But so it's probably from experience, I assume. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
His whole story, that whole story. But
I'm trying to remember, because I remember watching like Doogie Howser.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think, was I his age in watching him play Doogie Howser?
Probably. Well,
so like, is he our age or is he like Mike? Like Mike is, close.
He might be a
10
little bit younger.
8 years younger than me.
Hey, he's 49.
Wow, he's older than me.
Yeah.
I mean, actors do that whole like
time shift.
You're like 29 and you're playing an 18-year-old in high school.
Yeah, you
like,
ever watched Grease?
Yeah.
Every one of those people are like 30.
Yeah, are you kidding me? Olivia Newton-John and those leather pants at the end? Man, I was genuinely sad when she passed because she was like that was probably the first
crush movie boner.
Oh, yeah, probably. It probably was like, and that at the end, and those,
so it just takes some sewn. Yeah, like a woman sewn into some pants for you.
No, well, she did it for sure. I was like, God, wow, there's something special going on here.
Well, I have to admit, I hate that movie. It just drives me absolutely. My wife loves her and her brother. Like, watch this 1,000. She knows every word, every lyric, every song.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm not a musical guy. Number one, number two. I just think the characters are like so weird.
Right. And then there was the car. Right. It was the Grease Lightning. Like it was.
Yeah. There was that
a nice lady in a nice set of pants, and it was just about that time when those things were getting noticed. And then they were talking about there was a whole song about a fast car.
Oh yeah,
like
Grease Lightning.
Yeah, I'm like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah.
I can see how this is going to go sideways for me as a young man real fast. Cars and tight pants.
Yeah, for sure.
Fuck.
Yeah, but if you get a chance, I mean, we watched it like two or three nights ago. 8-Bit Christmas.
Is it on some?
It's on a streaming platform. I want to say it was HBO Max. I don't remember specifically.
Okay.
But very entertaining, and I laughed a lot because it just harkened back. It was like they just nailed all of the nostalgia shit
from us that would hit on our era.
Yeah, that was totally like, yeah, I was part of that. You know, that was. I mean, I wasn't like hardcore Super NES. I need to have one like they were in the movie, but
yeah, that skipped us. Brett got one. He was the first kid that actually got a. I think we had a Sega, not a Genesis, the one that came before the Genesis. It was like more of a rectangle. Anyway, it was like outdated. Like video games in that specific moment,
yeah,
I was in like a gap. Plus, we were poor.
Yeah.
So, friends in the valley at Katie's house, he had the Sega and then the Genesis, and then another friend down at the other end of the valley, he had the Sega and I think a Nintendo. So, if I wanted to play video games, I had to go to someone's house.
Yeah.
And so it really wasn't like I really wasn't a gamer.
Mm-hmm.
And then Brett got a Super NES for Christmas
Yeah.
that my sister and I opened on the sly, played it, then rewrapped it.
That is brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Dude,
brilliant.
shady shit was
Oh,
going on.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I played the Final Fantasy before he did.
So did he knew about this already?
I think he's I think he's known. I don't know for how long.
Okay.
But it was
like last month you told him?
Yeah, for a long time it was. I mean, I think he knew.
That's
Kelly and I joke about it all the time.
Really funny.
Yes. And then then I went into late teens, early 20s, and everything was about being active and doing stuff. So I really wasn't ever home enough to do stuff. And then it was like early 20s, first computer. Then it was playing PC games. But even then, I was still moving so much, like moving active, that I wasn't really sitting around.
I was into computers, but we had the original Pong when it came out.
Yeah, I skipped
and then
that.
we had a 2600.
Mm-hmm.
And then Shanna's house had a Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
And we played that on occasion. And then we had, I think I still have in my bedroom that's ready to be hooked up at any moment to the TV. It might be hooked up. I don't even know. Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of games for that. PlayStation. We have a PS2, I think, and a PS3.
Mm-hmm.
And then a Switch. We have a few Switches now.
I have a soft spot for Tecmo Bowl, like the original Tecmo Bowl. I remember playing that one, like being Bo Jackson and like trying to get kick return. Like I played the shit out of Tecmo Bowl.
I remember in the late 70s, early 80s, my next door neighbor had a ColecoVision.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever play one of those?
That was like an all-in-wonder thing, wasn't it? Like a unit?
It was like it was a regular like game system. But it had controllers that had like soft membrane buttons on one side, and then the games all came with their like little slip-in thing, so that they programmed what their buttons were going to do. And then instead of like a regular controller, it had like this weird thumb disc thing on one side that was really hard to work with and like hurt your thumb. But that system was really cool because it was different. I used to play that quite a bit at his house. But yeah.
Hey.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show, Sad Dad's Club podcast. In that episode 224.
Yep.
I'm Lord Fu.
I'm Jim.
I have corrections.
You do?
Right.
Okay.
Because this is starting to get... I can't... I'm going week to week, like remembering a couple. So from last week, you, me, and Dave, we got it. So it was hydrodynamics.
Hydrodynamics.
Or fluid dynamics.
Right.
Is essentially the water science that we were
alluding to, yes.
But we could not find.
Right.
The lights on my Christmas tree are not multicolored. They are, in fact, white. So, yeah. And my Venus was like, our lights aren't colored. And I went, see? I mean, that was my point. I'm like, I don't fucking know what color. Anyway.
Ours are white.
They're white.
Yeah.
Like, Venus does not like the head tingle thing.
Oh.
I couldn't remember, I think, 2 weeks back, whether she did or didn't.
Mm-hmm.
She is definitely the one in the house that does not like the tingler. That little.
Keep it away from my dome.
Yeah, she's like, it's a weird touch. Like, I don't know if it's like a weird thing. So
my nipples get erect, and I don't really like it.
Yeah, and then I go past the window, and then things start getting cut.
Yeah,
and unconscious.
I'm scratching things on the counter.
Right, and there's weird fur from my palms. From the head tingler?
Yeah, it goes south quick.
And then it was at the tail end of last week, the Bees for Build thing.
Yeah.
I contacted the guy. I'm like, hey.
What the fuck?
Here's my tracking number and here's my order number. And he said, well, yeah, it should have been processed and to you by now. It's our bad. We'll check and see if it's lost somewhere, and if not, we'll resend you one. The second order that I made in like preparation for, is it really? Do I have a chance? Because there's not a lot of people.
Yeah,
that one came today.
Oh, okay.
So, and then after my contacting the dude, I think they just resent it because that order is coming Saturday. So, I think
finally,
yeah, I think that brings us up to speed on corrections.
Okay.
Yeah.
I probably have some. I don't even know. I forgot what I said 3 minutes ago.
Yeah. My wife, like, she came in, I think it was last week or something, and she was like, you guys were talking about that, and she forgot what it was that she was like, she was going to offer up one of her corrections, and I think I distracted her with a penis or a spoon. I don't remember what.
You don't need to correct me.
Yeah, my pants are around my ankles. Your correction is not important.
Yeah.
And it worked at the time. Because then, she's like, what was it? And I went, I don't know. You said you had a thing. She's like, I don't know what it was. Anyway.
I think you were making me a sandwich.
Yeah. Where's dinner?
Oh, God, that's going to generate some haterade.
Yeah.
We're joking.
Yeah. They're really not around my ankles right now.
My wife and I shared the duties making dinner last night. Okay?
Yeah.
All right?
I was going to ask you in the recent conversations with Dave.
Yeah.
One of the last times that he was here, and I was out of pocket, I remember you guys, you said that you had like a conversation about like gender role stuff. And I can't.
We did.
Yeah, like someone in the house that does something that they're not supposed to,
okay,
or not supposed to, but is like outside of the norm. And I was like thinking about the other day. I'm like, because I think Mike and I were talking about something, or I was doing something in the kitchen, and I went, I wonder how many people. I think it had to do with like over the holidays and doing a lot of like the comfort food stuff from Czech heritage. Like, I mean, when you think about if I wanted to talk to someone about this type of stuff 20 or 30 years back, I could not ask my grandpa because in that era,
he didn't do it. Yeah.
It was the women. The women did the baking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how far we've come inside. It's like, I love my place in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
I do laundry. We fold laundry, put stuff away.
Mm-hmm.
If someone besides me wanted to do yard work, I'm all for that.
And you can always pay someone.
But we don't, a lot of stuff is, gender agnostic in the house.
Yeah.
Like there's I don't put Venus's stuff away. Like I'll do laundry all the time. Not all the time. I don't do laundry as frequently as Venus does because Venus has a system. Like she does stuff and we part stuff out to the kids. The kids do their own laundry now. But Venus, when she she has like, everything has a nice place and a way she folds it in a special compartment. I don't fuck with it. It's not that I
think it's all her job.
Right. It's like she has a system that is way different than mine, and everything has like a place and a folded technique or something that I probably would irritate the shit out of her if I. It happens with the bath towels. Like sometimes I'll fold the towels. They're nice and they're all folded the same way, but
they're not the right way.
But they're not the right way, and sometimes they find themselves refolded and then put back in a different alignment. Anyway,
and she's like,
right. But there's like an unspoken, like I don't not do her stuff. It's just that her system is just better handled by her. So I will open shirts up so they're not like crumpled and like so that they're not going to get wrinkled and stuff. And then when she gets home or she gets done doing whatever she is, then she'll put them away within her system. My shit's easy. Like the shirts go up on hangers that irritate the fuck out of me, and my pants and everything else goes in a drawer. Everything is real easy. But she has a like, you know, where her yoga pants go and which drawer under on her side of the bed. I couldn't tell you the fuck, but she can.
You're always happy to put your hands in her drawers, but not in this case.
Yeah, sorry, kids. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like Shanna doesn't like to cook. She's kind of the similar thing. She does most of the laundry. I help fold stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This even goes back to like her first job. She worked at Stuffed Pizza in Roseville, which isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
But she hated doing dishes. She still doesn't care for doing dishes. So I do a majority of the dishes. I mean, I clean toilets. I mop floors. If it needs to be done, you know, just do it.
Yeah.
I do the yard work. What does she do? Jesus.
God damn it. She brings home the bacon?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And then I cook it.
Yeah.
So,
it was just got me thinking
whatever.
It's like, oh, in our house, it's like not, but I can only imagine like the difference. Probably even my dad probably has had to adjust to, but then, I'm not so sure. I think it's probably been a pretty easy transition for my dad because my dad loves to cook too.
Mm-hmm.
And, being a single parent for so long, he just had to pick it up. He just had to.
Mm-hmm.
So whether or not he was used to his grandpa or his dad or even his grandparents, like grandpa doing barbecue and stuff on a grill, but mom and grandma doing kitchen, baking, desserts, stuff on a stove or a range top or in the oven, that was probably the women. He had his share of chores, yard work. He's like, we've talked about this. It was when we had Venus's dad and Mary over for the holidays, and we were talking about doing yard work. And he said that my grandpa bought the lawnmower and never used it because the boys all had to do the yard work.
Yeah.
He's like, grandma. In reference to his perspective, he's like, my dad didn't know how to use or knew anything about the lawnmower because it was our job to make sure that the lawn was mowed and the yard was done. Dad went to work. Dad came home from work and he relaxed and we all ate dinner as a family. But the yard work and the chores all had to get done by my uncles and my aunt because he did the hard work.
Right.
He got the paycheck kind of thing.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking like back to my growing up was essentially the same. Like the women would spend the time in the kitchen, but like if it was grilling time, then dad would be using the grill. You know?
Yeah.
Similar, very similar kind of thing. I don't know. I use the grill. I cook in the kitchen. I like to bake shit. I like to make stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Shan, she doesn't necessarily enjoy cooking as much as I do, so that's why I'll happily do that.
Yeah.
But she does get involved. I mean, she sort of started, like last night we made minestrone soup.
Mm-hmm.
I was still finishing up some work stuff. She started making it, and when I finished up, I was like, what do we need? What are we doing? What do we need help with? Where are you at?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we just kind of finished it together. And then I made like garlic bread and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's got to get done.
Yeah. A lot of, like, when I think about how I got introduced to, go cook something, be something. It was a lot more just kind of ad hoc. Like, oh, I'm hungry and I don't want bleh. Where I want to experiment, I just spent time in the kitchen. With the kids, it's been a little bit different. Like I've tried to get for Christmas, I got Xander. He's into anime and cartoons and stuff like that. So I got him a cookbook that does recipes from popular anime cartoons. So it's a lot of Asian, obviously. It's a lot of Asian influence recipes.
Mm-hmm.
And for his birthday, like we've talked about on the show at length, like whatever Mother's Day or birthdays, you want something, we'll cook it. Or if you want Macoonies or you want to go to Yummy Pokey, then that's what you want. You want a bunk cake, blah blah blah. We'll do that kind of thing. He picked a recipe out of the anime cookbook, and it was essentially like a really kicked up ramen, like the soft boiled egg. Anyway, so it was. We've made that in the house. We call it fancy ramen because we're doing something a little bit more tweaked than just crumbling a Nissin and boiling the top ramen. But this was a little bit more of a scratch built broth. And then I went and out and got like a pork tenderloin, and we did like the whole slices.
You gotta go boil a pig carcass to make it?
It wanted you to make like a damn it, I can't think of the name of the. You're using like seaweed and bento flakes to make like a seafood base stock.
Okay.
I've done it to make miso soup before, but it just takes forever to like really get going. So we cut a couple corners, but it was tiers above our fancy ramen. And the broth we ended up having like just enough to make, I think like a week later, Venus used it in like a leftover night, and she just took some ramen noodles and used what was left of the broth. I had to add like a little bit of water, but it was already pretty potent.
Mm-hmm.
God, it was to the nines. It was good. And so I hope in trying to find like something that he's interested in, but also food, like he gravitates and is not shy of the kitchen. Piper, I got her. Someone put together, anyone who's played The Sims, someone like the current one. I don't know what version they're on.
I haven't played it in years.
But she made a joke somewhere around Thanksgiving in passing. She's like, "Oh, yeah, someone made a cookbook from like all of the recipes that are in the Sims game." And I think she plays it, but she only like dabbles in it like on the fringe.
There's recipes in the Sims game?
Yes. and they're all, I think that a lot of them are like just renames of like common dishes.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was like a whole cocktail menu like in this thing. But she made it in passing. She's like, "Can you believe that? Someone in the Sims game like took all the recipes that you can make for your Sim."
And you're like, bing.
And I like, "Oh, that is weird." She walks away. I'm like on Amazon, like Sims cookbook, fucking order. So I got that for Piper. Like she hasn't made anything out of it yet, but a lot of the recipes are all like common, easy shit. Some, like I said, some are cocktails.
Some aren't.
Yeah. So I hope that. Some aren't. Some are food.
Some are cocktails and some aren't.
Yeah. You perv.
Perv.
I don't know what you're talking about. Cocktails.
So
I hope in things like that helps. Like my attachment was like heritage stuff. Like, oh, I saw Dad make this.
Yeah, that's
and so I'm interested in that.
Yeah, Grandma making shit in the kitchen, baked beans and stuff.
And now like everything's so fast paced, and like a lot of kids are doing something outside, and the kitchen isn't necessarily in our house like always central. People aren't sitting at the table doing their homework. Everyone's got their own desk in their room, and they're shut, and the headphones, blah, blah, blah. So the kitchen and dinner time and dinner making isn't as central of a focal point, like it was when I was growing up. Like, well, I'm doing homework at the same table that I'm going to eat, so I'm hearing Dad make the stuff. I'm hoping that these specialized interest cookbooks help keep them interested in being in the kitchen, so that they aren't afraid to go nuts kind of a thing.
Yeah. Interestingly, Chandler actually seems to know how to throw stuff together and cook decently, which surprises because when he lived at home, he didn't really ever cook. He just heated stuff.
Yeah.
That was the extent of him cooking. It was like he never wanted to take the time to cook anything.
Mm-hmm.
But since when he's out on his own, he's making stuff all the time. And Nicole's like, he makes good stuff. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
she's not a good cook. Doesn't really know how to cook very well, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But he just throws stuff together. Okay.
Does he do his dishes?
I think she does the dishes and he cooks.
I was going to say.
That's their trade-off.
Because you'd be like, hey, fucker, what happened to all those years where you weren't doing it at home?
Oh, yeah. He never did dishes. Yeah.
Taskmaster that bit.
Yeah.
I have a chip update, and then we can get
a chip update.
Right. A
Like
new favorite chip.
Potato chip.
Yeah.
Corn chip.
It's the Ruffles Jalapeno Ranch.
Oh my! I have had them. They're delicious.
Those are what I hoped the spicy Cool Ranch would have been.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they are always well flavored dusted.
Yeah.
And little bit of heat. But the ranch, like, what happened? Like, because, dude, they're like perfect.
Yeah.
Like, and
yeah,
now
they're really good.
Venus, like, oh, I gotta get you another bag of those, and I'm gonna have the, like, you're gonna pay for it if you eat that whole bag. I'm just saying.
They have just the right amount of
they're just the right amount,
flavor.
But every chip is good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
All right. That's it. If you want to try a chip that's not going to let you down, that has a little bit of heat. Ruffles.
Yeah.
Jalapeno Ranch.
I had a car repair.
Okay.
That is taking some time.
Okay.
It's still kind of ongoing. Let's just put it that way.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
because you drove over here.
I had a check engine light, which made me pull the cover, the beauty cover off of the top of the engine. And when I got the beauty cover off, because now I'm looking at, do I have a bad coil or something?
Right.
There is a PCV hose that connects on the left side of the motor to two spots. I assume they're valves. And then they join together, and then it goes over the top of the valve cover and then connects to the air intake.
Okay.
And I'm looking at it and I go, oh shit, that's cracked. It's the weirdest hose, because on the air intake side, it's this beautiful stainless steel braided cable, and it disappears under the beauty cover and is screwed down. And then it turns into like a plastic-ish hose.
Okay.
That goes over the top of the valve cover to a connector, and then it splits in a T.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a big connector on the back side of the engine on the top of the valve cover, and then a small one on the front. I'm not sure what those two connections are, other than probably valves of some kind.
All right.
So I see this. Oh, that's just open. That's like a recipe for getting unmetered air into your intake.
Right.
I'm not sure exactly where it gets its mass airflow sensor is at in that process.
Mm-hmm.
But that seems bad. So I do some research. I find the part, find it cheaper somewhere than I can get locally anywhere, and order it up. It finally arrives. I go to replace it, and the connector that I look at on the air intake side is just got like a little tab that you like pull and it just pops off.
Okay.
The other two connectors on the other side of the valve cover, I'm looking at them and I'm like, how do I get these off of here? And then I realize they require a fuel connection removal tool.
Okay.
Do you know what that is?
No.
So the way that, I don't know if in a podcast, if I could explain this so that anyone would understand, but essentially the hose connection fits over a nub.
Okay.
And on that nub is like a built up spot. Okay. So it clicks
like
over.
Like a barb.
Yeah.
Okay.
But all the way around
all right.
the nub, right? And the release for this hose that fits over the nub is inside around the bit.
Okay.
On the inside. So there's no physical release on the outside of the connector. You have to take a tool, and there's two little tabs that are inside the connector that you push a tool into that separates the two tabs, and it'll come out.
All right.
And both of these
are that
style.
Okay.
And one is larger than the other. So I'm like, fuck, I could try and pick these apart.
Right.
But am I going to get them off? I don't know. Maybe, without breaking something. I don't know.
Right. Now you're in a pickle because you broke something.
And
okay.
I don't know what size they are, right? They're two different sizes.
Okay.
So I don't know if I can go to like AutoZone or Harbor Freight or somewhere and buy a tool that's got two sizes. If those two sizes are the thing that I need, I don't know.
Right. Okay.
So I'm in a bind now, right? I got this hose that's complete, and then in looking at it in more detail, I start to realize, why is there oil? Oh, it's broken in like two spots at least. So it's broken on this side and it's broken on this side. So the fucking thing's just falling apart. And I assume because it's at the top of the engine with a cover on it, it just gets hot, and cold, and
heat
hot
cycles.
And cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just breaks down. And so I go, fine. I go to Amazon. I do a bunch of digging. I find a set that has multiple sizes in it. Cool.
A tool?
A tool.
Okay.
Yeah. Fuel release tool. Order it. It comes today. So,
I got to do a goddamn podcast.
Well, it's one of those things where this hose is right on top of the valve cover. It should only take me it's 3 connections, for Christ's sake.
Right.
They're accessible. That's not like I have to take any other than the beauty cover, which is like one screw.
I can see it. I can get my hands to it. This should be easy.
Yeah. And so it is fairly easy.
If you have the tool.
Even if you have the tool, it should be fairly easy.
Yeah.
So the air intake side comes right off. I had that one off before.
Right.
The back one, get my tool, I put it in there, figure out how it works, clicks right off. The little one on the front, the amount of space that you have between where the nub comes off and where the connector is, you can't put one of the tools that I just bought in there. Because it's like the tool is like this.
Yeah. Okay.
The clearance is too small to fit the tool in.
All right.
I'm like, how the fuck do you get this off?
Way to go, GM.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
What do they do at the dealer I don't understand.
Right. They have their own specialized tool or something?
I ended up using a couple of picks.
Yeah.
And just worked it and then fucking came right off. And the hose came off in like 3 pieces. It literally just fell apart. So it was broken in 2 spots on the top of the motor on the left side and 1 spot on the right side.
Right.
So this thing was just thrashed.
Ready to go.
Yeah. And then it was literally like it has a screw holding the hose down. Unscrew that screw, take the hose out, click it all back together, screw it down, and it was like maybe 10 minutes if I didn't have to wrestle with. So I got it in.
The special tool.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't think that this hose being broken
was the source
is the source of because it was a misfire that I had in a specific cylinder. Mm-hmm. I don't think that that's going to affect a misfire situation.
Probably not.
Yeah. So I ordered some new plugs.
Yeah.
And what I did was I swapped the number 3 coil with the number 4 coil.
Okay. And it has not thrown...
So it hasn't thrown a code, and I've driven it a bunch, but last night we were out running around and it started hesitating and stuff, but still didn't throw a code. So I don't know if moving the coil to the new spot is the culprit.
Or that you hadn't fixed the vacuum...
Yeah,
PCB
or that
stuff.
I hadn't fixed the vacuum leak. So now I have the vacuum leak fixed. But what I really wanted was, if you have a bad coil, which if you're not a car person, the coil is what connects to the top of the spark plug and generates the spark
to
the spark plug. So I pulled the coil from the number 3 cylinder and swapped it with the number 4 cylinder so that my check engine code, which is a cylinder specific code, hopefully if the coil's bad, then it will show up at a different, different cylinder. So that's what I'm hoping. But I haven't had a check engine light. It's really weird, but
do you okay, so let's go this. So your engine code, did you have to hook something up to the car to find it, or for your okay? So
I have an ODB to
like Bluetooth code
thing
reader
that my phone reads.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's not a big deal. I can order a coil if the coil's bad. That's fine. I'll order a coil and replace it.
Right.
But give me a code. I want to make sure that's what it is. If
Right.
it's like an injector or something like that, that's a whole nother avenue I got to go down. If moving the coil doesn't generate a different code than the code I had before, then there's something else in that cylinder that's having a problem.
Especially if you see the
Yeah, it's sort of gets a little hesitating. You can feel it. And when I threw the code, oh my gosh, it was misfiring hard. I was in the driveway. It took. I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to put the car away in the garage. But it only seems like it happens after it's run for a while and the motor's pretty warm. That's the way it seems to me, anyway. And then after it cools off, like tonight, just drove over here. No big deal. So I don't know exactly what the issue is yet.
And you did the hose, the PCV fix, the vacuum fix just before you left.
Just before I came over here.
Okay.
Yeah. So Shan was
you don't have enough time in it yet with the fix to find out if you're going to be chasing something new.
Yeah.
Well, you know how you fix that? Ingress.
That's what I was doing last night. But yeah, it's interesting, and we'll figure it out. But it just depends on if the code moves, or if the code doesn't move, then it's something else in that cylinder, which would probably be I would assume it's an injector. That's the only other thing it could be.
Yeah.
Really.
Unless you're a Jeep and your piston is about to obliterate on you.
Yeah, or something. So yeah, interesting. And it's weird because GM on this particular car, and I don't know, the Camaros also use this engine. It's a LTG engine, 2.0 turbo. There is a coolant hose that's got a Y in it. So this seems to be sort of a common thing. And I had this coolant hose, which is right on top of the easy to change, but it generated a leak. So I lost some coolant out of this hose right where the Y is. So I had to get one of those and replace that. It was no big deal.
Have you thought about? Well, you already bought it. I see the new, especially in engines that are the Hondas, rotating into a silicone hose, especially for coolant and whatnot. Something that's not the rubber stuff that you and I are familiar with, like the corded heavy duty rubber.
Oh, yeah.
But the silicones take heat cycle way better.
Yeah.
And won't rot like you and I know that, you're seeing.
Yeah. It's weird how, I think it seems to be a common thing on that particular car or that engine with that particular hose, and maybe even the PCV, which if you don't know, PCV's positive crankcase ventilation. So what happens, what this hose is for is the crankcase, as it gets hot and runs, generates more pressure than it should, or than what you want in the motor, because otherwise you start blowing seals out. And so there's a valve or a couple of valves, and maybe in this case, I'm not sure, that open up to release pressure out of the engine, and it puts it back into, because there's in this environment where there's pressure inside the engine, or there are fumes in there,
plus oil.
Yeah, oil fumes and that kind of stuff. So it vents that into the air intake so that it can get cycled through the engine and burned.
Burns, right.
Yeah.
California emissions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's also typically where they'll, like in fancy shit, that's where you get your oil catch cans.
Right. Which I actually looked at. I think I want to install a catch can.
I'm a smidge close. Like,
Yeah.
and here, and really I got, because there's a whole set.
Is it California emissions legal, though? I mean, am I going to, if I have to go get a smog?
As long as the routing goes back to the intake,
then you're fine.
You're fine.
Okay.
You can't leave it there. They have to be able to trace, this is where your PC valve starts from the top of the crankcase. Does it go back to the intake? Yes. If you've got something in between, as long as it's clear, it's not actually venting to atmosphere,
Right.
You're good to go.
Well, I don't think you'd want that anyway, because that's
you would,
just
because it's oil.
Well, not only that, it's a unmetered air coming into your intake.
Yes.
It's sucking through there.
I think, well, I don't know. I don't know for certain.
You're bypassing your filter at a minimum.
Right, but if your mass airflow sensor it's not metering that anyway, it's going to be, because otherwise
upstream of it.
Right.
Because otherwise you're spitting oil all over it.
Right. So it would be downstream of your mass airflow sensor.
Yeah, so you're getting unmetered air into the engine.
Right.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, same
It
thing.
Messes with all your computer and calculations and all kinds of stuff.
The Jeep, when I took it apart before I saw the busted piston, the Jeep has that Iron Duke of Chrysler's, like, notorious in the way that the Jeep throttle body is designed. It's like flat at the bottom where it takes stuff down. She had Emily's Jeep. When I took the throttle body up, there was like a puddle of oil. Like I get it, but like this was clearly, I'm like, if this stays here and we do a thing, catch can. Like, absolutely. This engine is clearly doing that. And then after I took it apart and like, is this fucking, oh yeah, Jeeps aren't dirty, but this is a notorious problem. Like, why would you not put this, everything's going to burn and fuel efficient and less shit coming out the ass.
If you're capturing
it's just, it's catch can.
Yeah.
Okay, clean air for combustion. Like, I get it. You don't want to have to deal with, what are you going to do with this amount of oil that you're going to have to, if you're not a car person, it's probably problematic. But, like, as someone who wants a more fuel efficient, cleaner engine, like, capture it and figure out what to do with the waste when you change your oil.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I kind of wonder how much does that, how much of an effect that has on, like, carbon buildup. If you have a direct injected engine.
You've got dirty air, your fuel injectors, are they staying clean enough? Your valves, like all of that stuff. Yeah. I'm like, eliminate that. Clean everything up by just capturing it.
Yeah.
And draining it when you do your oil.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a kit for the RS.
There's a couple.
I'm like,
yeah. I know.
Oh, but
there's a couple of them for I think on my birthday, my wife was like, "Oh, I want some ideas." So I think I actually put a catch can kit.
Really?
I don't remember which one it was. It wasn't. I forget who it was. There's two basically.
Radium?
No, I can look it up.
Click, click, click.
Yeah. There's ZZP has one.
Okay.
But it's like.
That's a good band.
They're expensive. Oh, the Mishimoto is $500.
There you go.
The Mishimoto is $500. The ZZP one, I think, looks better, and I think it has better.
Is that like the Ulanzi of catch cans? Because that's what I was going to buy for the
Mishimoto?
Jeep. No, the ZZP.
I think they have.
Ulanzi.
They have. I mean, the hose that I just replaced, it replaces all that stuff with their own custom built thing. So I don't remember how much it was though. That's why I was trying to look it up.
Oh.
So the Mishimoto one's like $500, and the ZZP one was $149. It looks like. Yeah, it's $150. I'm like, and it looks great. The way they design all their, it's got an unscrew catch can that you can unscrew and dump it out and screw it. You don't have to like fucking remove it out of the whole thing out of the engine bay.
Yeah.
The Mishimoto one, it's $500 and you can't do that. I was like, why is it more expensive?
Oh.
Yeah, and the way they mount the Mishimoto, I was like, I didn't like the way they mounted it. Like there was a whole, like I had a whole problem with the Mishimoto one versus the ZZP, considering the ZZP seemed like it was far superior in every way, in my opinion.
I wonder if it's like a filtering thing or something. Like why would it?
It was a more complicated install. The catch can you had to remove to empty it out. Like it didn't have a dipstick. Like there was a whole bunch of, I was like, and it was mounted on the wrong side of the engine, in my opinion. They didn't, I don't know. It had a whole weird bracket you had to put. I'm like, no, I don't want that.
Not for $500.
No, I just want, give me the, so I put the ZZP on my list. I didn't get it, but.
Oh, for Christmas?
I think it was for my birthday last year. So I was like, yeah, and I think.
By the way, it's coming up again. Next year. Every year.
Well, I think she probably didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Or
she's like, what's catch cans? He catches my cans all the time with his face. What?
Yeah. I figured she would ask Chandler,
Oh.
But I don't know. I don't know what happened with that. Maybe she just glossed over it. ZZP catch can. I don't know what the fuck that is. Next thing.
Yes. Beef thermometer. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Mitts.
Yeah, exactly.
Bear mitts.
So they're. I'm looking at their stuff right here. They just do a really good job of like the way their hoses are designed and all that kind of stuff. It's like pretty incredible.
Huh.
And it would completely get rid of that complicated fucking shit I just dealt with tonight or over the last week.
Well, now if you got one, you'd have to figure out how to get the tiny one off again.
I know, but it only took me.
But you could destroy it and be like, fuck you, I don't care, because now I can put
maybe.
catch
I'm the kind of person that would be like, if I take this off, I might someday want to put it back on.
Yeah. I have to go back. Just in case. And then I would like be
careful getting it off. And then it would go in a box and I would never see it again. And later on I'd be like, oh, that was from the ATS I had. I don't even have that car anymore.
Yeah.
That kind of
What
thing.
do I put an 8-track in? I don't have one of these anymore.
Exactly.
That's weird.
You've seen in my garage, I've got like 10 or 12 car stereos in there, like stacked up on the top of my bench. You know what I mean? So it's like, at the time, you take them out and you're like, well,
maybe
someone might need it.
Yeah.
And if I hear of anyone that needs a stereo, I got an Alpine sitting here.
Yeah.
And then it just sits in the garage.
Yeah.
I'm actually
5 RMS.
I'm actually thinking about like making a little thing and like having them mounted so you could see them all like underneath the shelf.
Oh.
Like a little like radio music hall
display unit.
Maybe
case.
one works. I don't know.
No.
No. I need an audio system out in the garage.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to hook up this old tape deck to my
I'm going to take
12-volt garage audio system.
The CRV radio that I took out of Shan's car, I'm going to make it work in the garage.
Yeah.
Because it sounds the best.
Mistakes will be made.
Yeah. Then I'm looking for car speakers so I could just hook them up.
Yeah.
Why?
I need to make a speaker box.
Oh, I have some 6x9s on my bench, I'm sure. I mean, honestly.
Whew.
Yeah.
That's something special. You got to let it go.
I know. I just haven't had the...
I probably have something like that, though, up in the attic, so I shouldn't talk too much shit.
Yeah.
I bought a bunch of shit for the boat, which is 20 years gone at this point.
That you probably have upstairs?
Yeah. It was like, oh, no. You know what it was? It was for the, I had a second Z that I was going to full tilt.
Uh-huh.
And then I started to breed.
Fucking kids.
And we ended up donating that one, and I was left, it was one of those things, like, oh, I'm making really good money. So I bought a whole bunch of stuff, in anticipation of, yeah, so we're going to strip it, and it's already got a roll cage in there, and I'm going to put this fucking Grant, hashtag Grant and I, built these sick-ass, like, molded rear well fucking speaker boxes out of fiberglass. Shit was going to be sick. And then I decided to breed.
And then child number 1 showed up.
Yeah, and then it was like, oh, this is I don't need this.
I can't put the baby anywhere near this fiberglass.
Right, and it's not even done. So yeah. What do you know about resin? Shit himself.
Yeah. Oh, that's not resin. That's a pile of shit.
That's poo.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Speaking of babies, here's something funny. Millie's at school, right?
Yeah.
And so she had clinic, I guess, and the part of the clinic was they were going to have babies there.
Okay.
And, you know, kids love girls love babies, right?
Right.
Oh, my gosh. Melanie was like, I hate babies. They're ugly and they're dumb and they're
messy.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
Like all of the things that you would never say about a baby. And my wife and I were like, "What the hell's happening? This is I would never expect Melanie to say that."
She's a squish ambassador. She doesn't like babies. Right. Wow. Yeah. Hey man, you know, not everyone.
Whatever, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
You're like, Millie.
Apparently babies aren't in the future for her.
You're like, shit, Chandler. What do you think about babies?
I don't know. Do we really need to carry this name forward? I don't
know. I'm okay if we end it here because I think backs. Let's just stop it right here.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. So anyway, I thought that was hilarious.
I went snowboarding this weekend.
Oh yeah, how was that?
So for all our talk about how ludicrous pricing was,
you went.
We went. We took a.
And was it as ludicrous as you had hoped?
Absolutely, entirely ludicrous amount of money.
Yeah. Did you feel like you should have been driving a Range Rover, but you weren't?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a brand new something.
Yeah.
So if you're here in West Coast, we essentially shot the gap between the last 2 storm systems that came last week.
I don't know how the hell you got so lucky with that day. That was
so a week prior.
That was pretty lucky.
Emily said, "Hey, is there some time next week where you guys would want to go snowboarding?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm off PTO, so I work all week, but my work week is Sunday to Thursday." I'm like, "Well, if there's an opportunity, it's going to be the 6th."
Right.
And I said, "Tell her we'll make it work we'll make it work. Earmark the 6th, and I'll spend the next, day or something in like trying to dial in whether or not that's actually feasible." Venus came home from work. I'm like, and in her alternate work schedule, she gets every other Friday off. I'm like, are you, because now I'm in like, oh shit, if I take Piper up snowboarding and Venus is like working, that's not going to go well.
Are you going to beat me?
Right. Am I going to get in trouble? So I'm like, are you off next week? She's like, yeah. I'm like, so next week, your snowboarding scheme?
The stars are aligning.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, sure. And then it was, well, we would have to take Xander because Xander actually said, he'd give it a shot.
Leave that kid home.
And
Come on.
he didn't start school until today.
Yeah.
So
he had the time.
Everyone was going to be off last Friday. Then it was, but we're expecting rain and snow
every damn day.
Every day. Literally, the storm system came through, and tail end was Thursday, and the next one was coming in Saturday afternoon. And we shot like the 6th was dialed in.
Yeah, you couldn't have timed that better.
We left like anyone that's been up here. Like we have to leave. We were going to North Star, so it was like we know early. I'm like, well, I'm paying this ludicrous amount of money. We're getting the most amount of time. Even though
you get there when it opens,
right? Lift started at 9. We left at 7. 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I would
have left at 6.
We should have. Coulda, shoulda.
No joke. I would have left at 6.
I think I was hedging more on it's Friday. The
it won't be as busy.
The 2 major holidays are over.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it was a 4-day week for those that weren't on PTO.
Yeah.
But I was hoping, and that wasn't the case. It was a lot of traffic. There were snow tires and 4-wheel drives had no chain restrictions. But even by the time that we got there were no chain restrictions anyway. There were fucking Accords and Civics and
there was me when I was
minivans
when I was 18 going
right.
up there.
So by the time we got to where they were, the time we left the house, there were still chain restriction controls like in some places. By the time we got to where those checkpoints were, the snowplows had caught up, and obviously the weather was clear, so everyone was free to go, but they were still like slow gating people, so that created a bottleneck, and then traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And the roads weren't perfect, so it was still, you're not going 65 out here.
Oh no.
And then once you got to Truckee, the roads, it degraded a little bit, but it wasn't like I need to chain up or anything like that, and I didn't have to, people weren't putting on chains and gearing down for 4 low kind of shit. It
right.
was just
a little sketchy.
Pay attention a little bit more. North Star was packed. It was packed. So we didn't get there until about 11, and then
oh really?
Yeah.
Wait, you left at 7.
Yes.
To want to be there by 9.
Yes.
But got there at 4 hours?
It was slow going.
Fuck.
So I'm maintaining my shui about the
whole...
Because I'm like, bottom line for me as a dad for this trip, money's gone kind of thing. I have to maintain a positive outlook because Xander and Piper are both completely and utterly new to snow sports. They've never been on skis. They've never been on snowboards.
Never been on a lift.
Right. None of that stuff. So they don't understand the mechanics. They don't understand the balance. None of it. Now, they've been on ice skates, but that's not really relative outside being slippery. Venus was back on skis for the first time in many. She's a young lady, but it had been a while.
Yeah.
So,
see, I feel like
I'm less worried at this point. Like when I was younger, it was like, yeah, as soon as the lifts are open, I'm getting all this money's worth. It was more about like, it's okay. Let's get you on the mountain. Let's try some shit kind of thing. North Star's parking lot they have a bunch of satellite parking lots, and they were so full that it becomes like you do the bus. You get on a bus, and there's a shuttle that takes you to the actual village, and then you do the lift ticket thing. You take a gondola to the base of the mountain.
What time was it when you hit the first
that
lift?
Really entirely was probably not more than 40 minutes. We were at the base of the mountain, prepared to ski and do the business by noon-ish.
But what do they close at 4?
4.
Yeah. Oh.
Now, for me, if I was going to get up and down the mountain...
Did you get a half-day lift ticket at least?
No, it was full. Because I had expected to... And they don't...
Oh, so you'd already
Yeah.
prepaid for your ticket.
Right. You have to. So there's, and that was part of the thing. Like when we were picking days, it was like you.
See, this is foreign.
You essentially had to buy your ticket pretty close to like a week out. There are refunds, but you had to commit to the thing because I think it was like a post-COVID like population control thing, like Disneyland. Like they're only selling so many tickets. So we had to commit. So I had full day tickets, and Venus made a comment about like, well, can we buy like a half day if I'm going to sit in the lodge for a bit? And I'm like, there's no half day. There's no half days. North Star did not have a half day.
I've never boarded at North Star. Never been.
I had one once, before.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good mountain, like for up here at Tahoe.
There's lots of lifts I see.
Yes, I no complaints, but I only went on one item.
Really?
I spent the afternoon with the kids.
Showing kids.
With the kids.
Yeah.
It was a struggle, and they both did as best as they could, having no lessons, like probably the same as you and me. It was, here's a board, here's some things, and
I did actually take a lesson.
Did you?
It was like a morning lesson at Donner.
I took a ski lesson. I did not do snowboard lessons.
Yeah.
Perhaps that was a mistake on my part. Piper was very frustrated. She got very frustrated.
Yeah.
I think we found the reason that was at the tail end, which will be the funny haha. Xander got up and his bearings easier than Piper did, but it wasn't that he was shredding the mountain. We stayed on the
Bunny Hill.
They had a really nice beginner section. They had the carpet that you can get on. They had multiple sections with carpets that went of varying lengths for people that were learning. I think it was above and beyond one of the best beginner bunny hill experiences that you could learn on. There was many opportunities. It was very wide open. The pricing would suck, but if I had to take someone to go either take a ski snowboard school or learn deep end kind of thing, I would take them there. It was everyone was no shade, no like embarrassing like side eye stuff kind of thing, and there was lots of space. It was very welcoming to learning. Like everything was like they had the fencing or they had chicanes, so no one was really going to come in from another lift or from another run and sideswipe someone who's Bambi
sitting,
on ice,
yes.
like skittery, kind of thing. Xander would get up and get straight, and then I don't know how the fuck I'm supposed to turn, and things would start to slide out, and then he'd eat shit, and we'd move on.
There is a method for teaching snowboarding. Truly.
Okay.
The first thing you do, just from experience.
Okay.
The first thing you do is teach them how to use their edge.
Yes,
You kind of get them on their front and their back edge, and like get them used to like a little movement and then stopping, and then there's like the process of teaching them how to like learn how to turn is to use their front leg as the pivot and their back leg as their steering guy.
Right. Yes.
And then you have to then teach them how to incorporate the edging into that, which and it's a whole thing, but my brother and I picked it up super fast. We took this like morning lesson, and like by the time the lesson was over, we were like ripping the hill, and we're like, oh, okay, see ya,
got it.
And then we were ripping the hill for the rest of the day. But if you have those basic mechanics down, like especially with the edging, if you can get the edging down, then from there it's kind of just starting
to put stuff together.
Yes.
Faster, quicker.
Right.
Yeah. Piper did get, like I said, she was pretty frustrated early on, and then that her brother was taking to it a little bit quicker.
Oh yeah.
Like put her into a bad headspace.
Yeah. And
the entire time Venus are like, there's no contest here and no one's getting great. Like you're going to walk out of this with probably sore wrists and a sore ass and sore knees, and things are going to hurt. Like, but she got into like a bad headspace for a bit. And Xander, in like a break, I took Xander on the Bunny Hill lift, and it was like a four chair thing. I'm like, so here's how this is going to go. We're going to get right here, and we're going to skate up, and then you sit, and then get up. And I'm like, don't worry about what happens at the end. Don't worry about it.
Oh, you mean getting off the lift?
Yeah, getting off the lift. I'm like, don't worry about it.
It's sketchy.
Like, I'm gonna grab your back, and then you just lean on me, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what happens.
You might fall. It's fine.
He's like, okay. When the lift swung through on the going on up, I'm starting to take off, but I've kind of got like you pick up a cat or like the scruff of the neck, but I've got like his jacket, like I've got a handful of his fucking jacket.
Yeah.
And there's a skier on my left, and then the skier far left, and then Xander's going to be on an end. And so the skiers and myself, we start getting forward, and Xander, I'm like starting to twist as Xander is not moving forward because the skating thing, he's not got his borderline.
He hasn't figured it out.
So I'm just short of picking his ass up. Thank goodness that he is a gaming nerd. I'm clean and jerking his ass to get up next to me because now I'm eyeballing the lift is swinging around, and I'm like, you're coming.
Yeah.
Or you're leaving as a hamburger patty on the side of this fucking
right.
We get planted, and then the lift sweeps us up, and he's like, what the fuck is, because it comes underneath him. Completely,
it sort of like collects you and bends back and then sweeps forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was expecting, what was going to happen, having watched a couple people on the lift, but his eyes were silver dollar. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, and then it lifts you up.
All right, and then it lifts you up, and then you're moving. And I've still got a hold of him, and it's like a 4.5 minute thing, but midway through the lift, the gentleman who's the skier immediately to my left, and whoever his friend was a young lady. He was neophyte skier. Like they were talking about like how many times he has fallen, and he's still getting his legs. So, as a dad who's trying to make sure that he and his son is not the train wreck that causes everyone to spill, I'm feeling a lot better because this guy, he's being open that,
yeah, I suck.
Things might go sideways.
Yeah.
And so it takes a little bit of pressure off me. Like, so when
good.
Right.
We're not the only ones.
If we all eat shit, I can blame this other adult who's, it's his ass.
Yeah.
I'm like, this kid's still a teenager, and you're a grown ass man, and you caused us all the. We got off the lift, no spills.
Oh, nice.
It was a non-issue. Not that it had to be.
Right.
But it was fine. Everything was fine.
Well, no, it's a thing.
Right.
Getting off the lift it took me a long time to get, and still probably even now, not used to it. But it took me a long time to get more accustomed to getting off the lift with any sort of grace and control.
Yeah. It's right, because sometimes there's not a lot of snow, or sometimes the way they've got it groomed, or sometimes you've got someone who's new to the side, or sometimes shit just goes wrong.
Or someone pulls on you on accident.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and then you're... Right. It happens. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm explaining to him like the etiquette. I'm like, as a snowboarder, man, we got to get up out of the way because we're on the bunny hill, so not everyone's going to be as lucky as we just were.
And those chairs just keep coming.
Everything's going to keep coming.
Yep.
I'm like, so let's get off. They had like benches for the boarders to strap in.
Oh, nice.
So it was nice, convenient. I'm like, we have to at least get to there because that's what this is for. We squat somewhere or get down, and then we've got to strap in.
You skateboard over.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he gets strapped in, and he's like, where do we go? I'm like, well, you kind of just going the way the water's going to go, and you're rinsing and repeating. You're trying to chain the edging and the turning of what you did down there for like an hour. You're trying to chain those instances together as best you can.
Yeah. And
you got to get down to the bottom. That's it. The end game is down there. How you get there?
It's up to you.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
I convey that to him, and he's strapped in, and I'm slow going, but I know I could catch him. Like, so right. I'm waiting, like, to make sure he's all geared up.
Keep going.
Right.
I want to get a speed run in.
I get out my phone because I'm like, oh, well, at some point I got to do a Thomas from the ski slopes. And I look up and he is just going straight in the longest straight distance.
Doing like 65 miles
and
an
I
hour.
went, ooh, this is not.
He's not going to.
Right. At least down the hill at the bottom of, the treadmill lift.
Yeah.
It's like a 50-foot length at best. And he was getting maybe 10 to 12 feet at a whack. We're at the top of this run, and he's got 50 yards. And he is... I'm like, oh, we picking up speed now. He's going to...
And then did you feel the need to let go?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, shit. Well, now I'm behind the fucking... And the time it took me to get my straps in and put my phone away because I was fucking around... He, the back leg starts to, and
then suddenly he's eating a snow cone.
Yeah, he's, I catch up to him and he's like, I died. And I went, yeah, you feeling good? He's like, I'm like, you went straight, son. He's like, yeah. How the fuck do I turn? I'm like, yeah, well, you back foot and the edging. He's like, all right. We pretty much spent the rest of that run down chasing straights and his back foot just starting to walk out.
Yeah.
And it's a hard thing to try and convey, your core and tightenings. These little movements are really the bit, being able to feel and understand where that back foot is and to keep it.
And what your board and edges are doing.
Right. Is... But he was close.
But then once you get it, it becomes supernatural.
Right.
It's very weird how once it starts to click,
yes,
it just clicks.
It just clicks. So he had a good single run experience, and then we went and got food. Ludicrous prices.
No,
I know.
What?
And I told him we were getting food. Piper was still in a bad place, and I said, "You guys can be done. You can be done. If your feet hurt, toes hurt, you're cold, you can be done. Really, I'm just glad everyone came up and gave it a shot.
There's a lift on the backside I want to hit."
and Emily's was, she's there. We're there to keep her company, but she was free to go and come.
Was she skiing or snowboarding?
She was skiing.
Okay.
Come and go as she pleased, and she did. She would stop by every once in a while, but she'd catch in runs, go to the top, let it come back down, and tell you how it was. So after lunch, Xander was like, "I'm done. I'm okay. I'm good." So he had a hot chocolate, and he stayed in the lodge. And I'm trying to get a feed from Piper. I'm like, "Do you?" I'm here to help you. Do you have questions? I'm not going to force feed you tips and anecdotal things that aren't going to help you because you don't want to try, and you're done, and that's okay. She's like, "Okay, I'll go out. Okay, I'll try again." I'm like, okay.
And maybe with Xander not being there.
Right, and maybe.
Yeah. Like
I said, the whole thing was I'm here to help you. I don't need to do anything other than, and I spent a lot of the time on the mountain unstrapped in. It was we can, I'm just here to help.
Yeah.
I'll pull you up the hill and I'll work with you. We got outside the lodge and we're walking over. There was a longer rug magic carpet thing that we decided, well, let's go do that so we can have a little bit more space to come back down the hill. And Piper was regular stance. So for her, that is left foot forward.
Right.
She is right-handed.
Are you goofy?
I'm goofy.
You're so fucking goofy.
Xander's goofy.
Oh.
Venus is goofy. Before we left for Clark's, I got out her longboard. And I had both the kids which one, what feels comfortable, how would you skate? Xander, goofy. Piper, regular. Are you sure you're regular? Yes, absolutely. She gets on the skateboard. She does a thing. This is how I was in. All right, fine, fantastic. We're going from the lodge to the carpet, and she has twisted herself around, and she had put in her left foot in the, so she had strapped in backwards.
Oh.
And I went, sweetheart, you're strapped in like Goofy, but you're regular. And she went, yeah, but every time I get up there, like I end up swung backwards the other way anyway, and this feels right. And I went, well, you're probably Goofy then. And she went, I'm like, stop for a second. Does doing it this way feel more comfortable to you? She's like, yes. And I went,
you Goofy.
I unstrapped her from her board, and I said, I strapped her into mine because mine was, since Goofy and the boots all fit, it was negligible. So I strapped her into mine, and it wasn't that she all of a sudden was shredding the mountain, but you could tell that it made a difference. She did way better.
That's interesting.
Strapped Goofy than what she thought she was, and so I think she was fighting
her natural
body dominance and tendency.
Yeah.
Versus on a skateboard versus what was bottom line was more comfortable for her on a snowboard. I think she's gonna try it again. And then I told her at the end of the day, I'm like, anyone want to try something different or try it again? And Xander said he would like to try skis. So the next time we do it, we'll go to Clark's and we'll get him skis, and he'll give that a shot. Piper, at the end of the day, as frustrated as she was like, no, I'll do snowboarding again. I will try snowboarding again.
Oh, good.
She didn't seem interested in the skis. And I'm like, fine. I don't care what you do. Your mom wants to be a skier. She doesn't want to hurt her ass or ankles or anything more.
Yeah.
Or Lodge Bunny. So once we got Piper down that one time, I did ask Emily. I'm like, so here's my only ask here is before the lifts close, I need one run. Like, and I'll do it with Emily. Like, we'll go up as far without impacting the employees who were like shutting lifts down or coming down the mountain. Like, I just need one run.
I need to scoot
before the lifts close.
Yeah.
Now, I have not been on a snowboard or on a mountain since that ingress thing that I did with Sarah, #HeySarah,
right,
at Palisades,
right,
Squaw Valley. So that is 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
We get the last run. I'm on the lift with her. We're just jabber jawing, and it becomes apparent to me that similar to your PCV hose, the binding on my board, the toe binding on my back foot, has essentially disintegrated and rotted. My ankle strap is fine, but I don't have a toe thing. And I was like, oh, you fucking your toe binding. Like, I got life insurance. I medical insurance. Like, I'm an old ass man. If something goes sideways with this, the bottom line was it didn't really seem to impact my foot stability. I'm like, I'm fine. I only need one run. So she's like, okay. I'm like, you kind of lead. We'll see. We'll see how many cobwebs we knock out. Like, and we're jabber jawing about jumps and stuff like that on the way.
I don't know about jumps yet.
Right, yeah. But I'm like, I'll follow you down. These were intermediates. There were no we didn't go on a black diamond on the way down, but she's leading. I'm going to tell you right now that I had forgotten how much of the shredding on a snowboard is like a temple.
Yes.
Is like the driving is. I had forgotten. And when I went up with Sarah was skiing, and it was like business. It was like, I'm making sure she's safe, I'm safe. We only went up one thing to do the portaling, and then we're coming down as safe as possible to make sure no one gets any injuries after doing something for a fucking video game. And then, right? So I hadn't really put the business.
Yeah.
Emily, she leads us off, and we're going, and she's skiing, so we're not in a park or anything like that. She's doing the chicane stuff, and like it all just when I was explaining it to Brett and Kim, it was like Trinity and I need a program for a flight for a helicopter. We get 30 seconds into this, and
you're feeling it.
I'm like, oh man, I miss this so much. It was so euphoric.
Yes.
Like it was just like, ooh. And so we get maybe halfway down this run, and she's like looking back, and I am on her six.
Yeah.
And she's like, then she pulls up, and then I'm like, well, if I go any faster, I'm gonna push through her. So I went to the side, and there was a small moment on the run where she's and I'm right next to her, like, oh man,
yeah,
you have to get up the mountain.
I
am telling you, we got down to the bottom. She's like, oh my god, I didn't notice. And I think, obviously I'm like excited because someone thought that I was halfway decent, but I was all smiles. It was, and legs were burning, obviously, because they're like, what the fuck just happened? Like,
right.
At best you were doing runs, and now you're,
yeah,
felt so good. It felt so good.
The last time I went boarding was we went up for Scouts with Chandler, and I had a blast. Like it was like riding a bike, and
yeah,
Chandler was able to go do what. Hey, go! You can snowboard. Yeah. Go do your thing.
Yeah,
be with your friends. And I was hanging out with my friend Scott, who's a skier, and he didn't think that I could. He was giving me all kinds of shit. You can't keep up with me,
Yeah.
And he, like, I think I told the story before. His eyes were like saucers when he saw me ripping down the hill. And I'm not saying like I'm anything special, but he didn't expect that.
Yeah.
And
I was like explaining it to Emily too. I'm like, I've already done the part, and we really, through my like snowboarding career, like lifespan, I really enjoyed the front end, the parks, the jumps, the tabletops. Never did the half pipe. It was beyond me. But I do enjoy a good tabletop jump or a gradual jump. Nothing big,
yeah.
But I really enjoyed that part. Towards the middle and tail end, it was the carving.
Yeah.
And a little bit of speed. I'm not
the
interested.
Free ride and stuff.
I'm not interested in the straight shot and getting down as fast as possible. But decent and at speed carving, slalom, like.
And if you can find some tree places with some powder,
like that was my groove. Like that was like, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like snowboarding slalom on skiers moguls, loved that too. Like, oh yeah, you guys think you're the no, I can do this too. Like, back forward, swinging.
I hated moguls. Are just painful.
Loved it.
I can do them, but they just beat you up. They just beat you up.
Yeah, this is a good poop afterwards. Everything just knocks loose.
I know. I have to. You're sitting there, and I'm like, these feelings are coming and hitting me.
It was, I figured it would feel good. Like, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to come down, and like it.
That was great.
It'll feel good.
Yeah.
It felt great.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, man. I forgot. I had forgotten like how special that felt, like being in that groove. And I told the kids when we were done, I'm like, oh, ever fun? Really, it was just sharing that experience with you. I had forgotten how important and how amazing it felt to be on the snow, trees, the serenity of winter.
Yeah, the cool wind hitting you in the face.
It's an entire experience. It's like camping and the campfire and like a good smoke on your food. Like it was a thing.
People talk about things being soulful, and I don't get it most of the time.
Yeah,
but I would equate soulful in terms of snowboarding.
I would too. Yeah. And I had forgotten. Like, I'm going to go up and have a good time, get a good workout, and do a thing. Like I remember, I was halfway decent, and it felt good to do it. I had forgotten that it is a close, like riding the quad or hitting some really good turns in the RS and just being part of the machine, I had forgotten how close all 3 of those experiences are. And yeah, it was good.
And the other part of it for me too is the not just the snowboarding, but the exploring.
Yeah.
Being in oh shit, there's a lift over there. Where does that go? I don't even know.
Yeah.
What runs are on? I don't know. And if the run sucks, it's still snowboarding. It's like bad pizza, still good pizza. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's still pizza. It's still snowboarding. Like, even if that was a fucking narrow ass run that didn't have any way to coast off the side, or if it was really gated or whatever, it's like, I was still on my board coming down the hill, you know?
Oh, yeah. 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 And in the end, too, like I told the kids, I'm like, you may hear me talk highly about how that last run put like smiles on my face, but I said the experience entirely was special for me. It was like, it was the first time taking my kids into there, with 0 expectations. Like just try it. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to throw stuff at a wall. And if it's not your bag, that's okay. Like my kids are in band. They don't do sports. That's fine. Absolutely fine. And I've picked up along the way an appreciation for symphonies and orchestra and live band performances that I didn't know. Like I'm proud of all of these things.
For sure.
So if anyone wants to go back up the mountain, and Emily too, she was like, so if you ever want to go up again, because she would go alone. Right. So I'm like, well, it's not like that it would be affordable, but if you ever need a buddy, I got
right now I'm going, fuck.
Yeah.
I wish I was up there.
I got some.
I wish I went.
So Piper, I think, is going to try going to Mount Rose on Tuesday,
and
she's taking bindings. I'm Burton is the binding that I have. They do make updated parts, so at least for her,
oh cool,
I fixed or will be fixing my bindings and putting them on Venus's board for Piper to use. I did buy new bindings.
Nice.
They were affordable.
Yeah.
So
you saw the picture I sent you, right? Did you see the picture I sent you with my snowboard up in the rafters?
Oh yes, yeah. Yeah,
my old school Burton Air from like 1989.
Yeah, I don't know if those. Yeah, learn from my mistake.
With Sims bindings fitted to it.
The plastic probably won't.
Oh, it's been heat cycled up in the attic for years.
That
and years.
was I'm like, fuck, whatever. Got that. I mean,
well, for that particular board, it's a whole new. I would have to buy a whole new board. The bindings on that board are set towards the back, so there's the nose and tail are different lengths.
Yeah.
So it's like I wouldn't even ride that board.
Well, I'm finding the board that I took up that I rode Friday, its binding mount holes are
pulling out.
It's a standard that's not the same as the other board I have and this one.
They've like switched them a few times.
Fuck.
It was like over the years they were like, we can do this better, and then they redesign them, and then they're like, we're doing it again, and then they did them again. Yeah, for sure.
So,
I mean, the first board I snowboarded on was the Burton Performer. Look that up on Google.
Burton Performer.
Yeah, look it up, dude. It had a metal fin on the bottom and the back that stuck down about half an inch.
Oh, good God.
That was one of the first boards they ever made that was like mass produced, was the Burton Performer. And it had a split tail, so it like came back and had a little notch.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't curved up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's what I learned how to snowboard on, was the Burton Performer.
They've been a fucking cut. That's crazy. With the fin?
Yeah, and if you were on a grooved run, that fin would catch into the groom.
Yeah.
And it would like... So at Donner Ski Ranch, there's a way you come down the mountain to the left.
Yes.
And it had a long flat.
Yes.
That long flat, if you were on the Burton Performer, that little fin.
Like a track car?
Oh, yeah. It was unnerving.
Wow.
You were just like waiting to bail. And you're trying to stay up along that long flat before you get to the bottom.
Yeah.
Dude, it was crazy. Yeah, that's how long ago I started snowboarding.
Jesus.
Yeah, in the mid 80s, 86, 87, somewhere in there. Yeah.
You got to go. I'm telling you.
I know.
We're at time, way over time.
All right.
But it was worth it.
Worth it. Well, given all that,
you should return the cart.
I feel like you should. You should wash your hands.
Wash your ass.
You should make the call if you need it, please.
Get the shot.
Check your oil, Tony.
Register to vote.
And do the kindness.
We'll catch you next week. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening.